Keep talk. I'll be there in a sec.
Good evening. We are back with our next exciting instalment of Franchise Wars. So Woody is here, as is Munt.
Hello.
And Woody's actually got wood this week. So we are going to be talking about Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, and Edgar Wright's wonderful Cornetto trilogy. And I think we'll start right at the beginning, and let's go straight into it with Shaun of the Dead. So, I love Shaun of the Dead. It's brilliant. It's a comedy remake, if there was one, of sort of Evil Dead and all those sort of films that they loved, with lots of cameos in. It's great. It's really great. It's a great film.
For me, it's spaced the movie.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a breath of fresh air, but it was also something we'd seen before, and it was just nice to see spaced as a movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it's not wearing thin on repeat viewings either.
No, it's not. I thought it would, actually. It's great. Yeah.
I'm quite happy to say, on the rewatching of it now, after not watching, it's possibly one of my favourite trilogies, if not my favourite trilogy.
Mm.
Now, I thought for sure Back to the Future had always got that straight off, but these three films may be my favourite collection of three films that put together out of everything. They're bloody wonderful. Going back on the rewatch now, I'm so pleasantly surprised by these. I always enjoy. I went into Shaun of the Dead was one of those films. I'd been to see another film, and they were handing out like little poster cards, and they were like, you folded them out, and it was the guide to surviving your zombie apocalypse, the rom-com. And I've got it somewhere down at work, and I really should have dug it out and probably stuck it in the background at the moment, but it folds out into a big poster for Shaun of the Dead. And I just thought that just looks great. I love space. I've always been a massive fan of space. So I went along to see it, and just on spec, and just, how brilliant was that? That was just ruddy wonderful. And then you carry on, and all the films are ruddy wonderful. I'll talk about everything, because the third film I didn't think was as good at the time, and then I'm watching it back now and I'm thinking, what the hell was I thinking about? That's bloody marvellous.
Yeah. I mean,
the use of music in these, Jesus Christ. Edgar Wright, really, I know we saw Baby Driver not long back, so we all know how good Edgar Wright is with it, but Jesus Christ, there's him and Quentin Tarantino, and everybody else is in second place for using music in a movie. They're just fantastic using it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I have to say, for me, I think, like lots of the trilogies we've talked to as we've done these franchise wars, I think the first one is spectacularly funny because it was, I know, Mark, you said it was like space, so it didn't offer massive. For me, it was big. It was massively different. It was really funny.
Yeah.
It was a parody of all the horror films, not so much I watched, but my twin brother had forced me to go, have you seen this? Have you seen this? And it was like
a parody, but it was on the level with all those films. I've watched all those bloodies. I grew up with mates loving zombie films. I've watched all the fucking George Romero zombie films, everything. And it was just, this is on a par with them. It's funny, but it's also a zombie movie. It's not a parody. It's pastiche. It's a zombie. It is what it set out to be, a rom-com.
Yeah,
and it could have very easily fell into slapstick because of the zombies being so easy to kill, and they didn't fall into that trap, which was what I did appreciate that. Because it could have been far visual gags, and they avoided the visual gags. Which
I get that. I have to say, I did worry it was going to go Evil Dead 3, and it was funny. I watched that.
Hold on a minute. If you've got something bad to say about Evil Dead 3 Army of Darkness, you can just about bloody well say it to my face.
I watched that honest trailers that you posted online, or Chris posted online, and that's got that scene of Ash being attacked by the zombie, by the Deadites, and it's like Three Stooges, and then that was silly. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It could have been really silly, and that's why it becomes. I suppose it does become a credible zombie movie in its own right, because actually it
Big
sort of follows
it
rules.
is a credible zombie movie.
The other aspect of it is not just the comedy. It's all. I know this is going to sound really fucking stupid because you're talking about a zombie film, but it's very much the way we would probably act in the fucking middle of a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Where, you know, the everyday, every man, we wouldn't want to be a hero. We want to fucking hide in the pub and fucking ride it out.
Yeah.
We want to keep away from everything and he's an actor.
Let's get to the Winchester. Wait for all this to blow over.
Yeah.
You know what
I love that about
it's what they do in all the films in there. They put heart in there. They don't do what a lot of comedians do, which is they've got their one comedic character, the version of themselves, and they play that. They actually play a character every time as well. They act. The two lead actors, and considering Nick Frost wasn't an actor or anything, he just came into it because being a funny guy and a friend of theirs, they actually act. You look at the lead characters in each of the films, and they're a different sort of character every time. They've changed themselves. They aren't just playing that version of themselves like so many people do. Well, and they put art in there. There's moments of there's moments of genuine sadness in Shaun. When, let's face it, well, I'll say spoilers, but really, Jesus Christ, if you haven't watched these, what the hell's wrong with you? But, when the mom and the stepfather die and things like that, there's genuine, touching moments in a zombie movie. Yeah. In a zombie movie, in an action movie, in a sci-fi movie. All of them are comedies, but they're genuine zombie movies. It's a genuine action movie. It's a genuine sci-fi movie. And they've all got heart in there.
You know what I find interesting with this trilogy is I love the first one. Really, really enjoyed the first one. The second one didn't, for me, hit as many beats. The third one was... I don't even remember it, and it's really strange.
No, the problem is...
You haven't done a rewatch?
No. I've watched them all a couple of times.
You stupid twat. You should really go back and rewatch, because I didn't think...
I just thought the third one was all right.
Having watched it at the time, I was thinking, it's not as strong. Go back and rewatch it now. Do yourself a favour.
The biggest problem is it's not a proper fucking trilogy. It's just 3 movies that they've put the Cornetto trilogy tagline onto. And if you look at it like that, they're just 3 movies that have been made by the same
people.
A different idea each time. And sorry, for me, as each movie has come along, the idea has waned.
God, we disagree.
We do, but the biggest problem I've got with Hot Fuzz is that element I was saying about over the top and slapstick. They go fucking 200% in Hot Fuzz. In it, some people think it's amazing and hilarious. I think it kills the movie style.
Yeah,
I really do.
Is there something wrong with you two? Do you need the doctor right now? Is that what it is?
But I'm not saying I don't like the first one.
Assistance? Is that what the problem is?
I love Shaun of the Dead. I love Shaun of the Dead. I love Shaun of the Dead, and Hot Fuzz is all right, but it isn't the amazing film that lots of people say it is.
No, it's not.
It's all right.
But it is.
It's all right.
No,
it's fantastic.
They had a little bit more budget, and they turned around and said, "Let's get some of our friends. Let's get some famous English actors in because we got a bit more fucking budget, and because we got budget, let's have lots of fucking guns in it as well." And it's clear that's what they did. And then when you come to the third one, that's even more fucking the case. And the biggest problem I have with the third one is fucking Simon Pegg is so fucking miscast in that fucking role. That irritates me.
Yeah.
And it takes me.
Oh my God, you're a parliamentary. You know what? That's acting. That's doing a different role.
But that's the problem.
That's actually not going, hey, I did this one wrong in the first one.
But that is the problem, Martin.
I'll do the same thing in every single film I ever do. No, he does a new character every time in each film. He does a brand new character. Don't get your head around this concept.
If you're still listening, we have 4 X-Men franchise wars for you to watch while they're still arguing.
But it's not acting. That's the point I'm making.
That is acting.
It's not. It's terrible. It's
that is acting.
Makes me
How
feel
does that
sick.
thing?
You know what?
I couldn't disagree with you more.
Mark, I don't always agree with Mark, but
Oh, come on, you do quite a lot.
I don't. So I agree. It was that there was that little bit in World's End. I was put off by Simon Pegg in it. It didn't work for me with him doing that.
You haven't even done a rewatch of it. Jesus Christ!
Precisely because of that. Because I'm like,
yeah, you really should go back and rewatch it. It's my brother. It's my brother's favourite out of the three of them. Said that we were talking about it the other day because I was saying we were doing this, and even he turned around then and said, actually, he said out of all of them, said the one that I'm more likely to go back and rewatch every time, and that I have watched the most, has been The World's End. Said he finds it eminently rewatchable, and it's fantastic. I didn't think that at the time, and then I've been back and I've watched it a couple of times.
You know what the biggest problem World's End has got is Seth Rogen beat them to with This Is the End.
Yeah,
and This Is the End is a far better movie.
Film.
And once again, we agree on that as well.
This Is the End.
I enjoyed This Is the End, but The World's End is a better film.
Okay, let's get back to the order we were doing it in, and we can get back to World's End in a sec. For me, Shaun of the Dead is great, and I love it. Hot Fuzz misses a few too many beats, and it is a bit. It's all right. The third one's okay. It doesn't. I don't know. Hot Fuzz has got way too many cameos in it. How many different parodies of films can they squeeze into this? So what have you got? You can count them up. You not only got a running joke about the bill and a
you do know this is a Simon Pegg Edgar Wright film.
Yeah, I know.
You know what they do.
But they'd already.
That doesn't make it automatically brilliant, Martin. Doesn't make it automatically brilliant. That is the biggest problem they've got.
Put parts of them in there.
That's the biggest problem they've got, is that they are put on such a fucking pedestal, and everybody's supposed to like it. And if you don't like it, there's something fucking wrong with you.
And I did, and it was all right.
Something wrong with you too.
It was all right. It just wasn't amazing. Hot Fuzz is better. It was like, oh.
You know what the problem is with Hot Fuzz? Hot Fuzz is a 90-minute sketch from a 2 or 3 minute fucking TV sketch show. That's what it feels like. It is overstretched and overlong.
It's all right.
We really disagree. They write films as films. They don't write films as, hey, here's 3 episodes of a sitcom, let's stick them together. No, they write a film with a beginning, middle, end, with twists, with things going on in it, and they put together a full entire film. It's not a sketch that's blown about it. Give the due, Shaun of the Dead is based upon a sketch that they wrote in space, and went, wouldn't this be good as a film? And they made it into a film, and that's it. But it's not an elongated sketch.
I don't know. Hot Fuzz for me, the beats didn't work for me. It didn't stick its landing as well as the previous. For me, clearly I'm in a minority. And then
no, in this video, you two are the majority. You're wrong, but you're the majority.
And it's funny because Mark texted me and he said, "What do you think of these?" And I said, "Well, I love Shaun of the Dead." No, you've got something wrong with you if you didn't love that. But we'd got Shaun of the Dead, and it was. I always feel the same way, Mark. You know what I'm like. If I'm anything, it's consistent through all these. If somebody tells me, you're going to love this, you've got to love it, it switches me off. The Batman Nolan trilogy, it did it. Everybody's saying, "Oh, it's amazing! You've got to love it."
I hate being told that I should like.
Yeah,
I hate that.
And when they talk,
you're a pair of miserable cunts.
You've got to love.
Oh, you should love this. This is. I absolutely do love this.
But you've got to look.
You don't watch these and go, "Oh, that's a sketch made. That's multiple sketches or something. That's too many cameos or stuff." It isn't. Where is that? The 2 cameos in Hot Fuzz, and it's Kate Blanchett and Peter Lord of the Rings director as the Santa. That's your 2 cameos. I suppose you've got
Timothy Dalton, Jim Broadbent,
Steve Coogan, fucking.
But Martin, they have actors who appear in every single one of the films. they have a repeating cast. They have a cast that they like to repeat and
I'm
use
sorry, I just think
over and over.
I think Edgar Wright is overrated. I mean, Baby Driver is fucking, the first half an hour is great. The remaining 2/3 are a crock of shit. It's boring as fuck. That it starts
Yeah,
off as
that
30
Brighton
minutes
Rock
fucking
scene's a
great.
piece of crap, isn't it? That. Oh,
Absolutely.
Jesus Christ, I'll never remember that. Oh, no, I will.
He's overrated.
The other thing I hated about
the fact that, you know, basically, I think Kevin Spacey was in it.
See, Disney and Marvel knew how overrated he was, because that's why they fucking kicked him off Ant-Man.
My arse, no.
The
only reason they did that, he wanted to make a Marvel film. They didn't want to make an Edgar Wright film. They wanted him to make another Marvel film, and he'd been working on a script for about 8 years, and they wanted to then change it and have it fall in line with all the Marvel stuff. They used a load of his stuff already out of it. No, you're talking
and they looked at it and thought,
Christ, you can talk out
as an Edgar Wright film, this is going to be shit, nobody's going to go.
Hang on, just going back to Hot Fuzz. The other things I don't like is there's no surprises. You can see instantly where it's going to go, and I hate the ending. I just hated it. I was like, oh yeah, this is going to go that way. Oh, there's a surprise. That was one of the biggest problems as well. I didn't get that with Shaun of the Dead. When you've got Nick Frost sat there playing the PlayStation in the shed, I love that. I was like, that's how you should have finished it. And for me, Hot Fuzz was like, yeah, it was a crap ending, and there were no surprises. And World's End, Mark, you're spot on. That casting of Simon, and I love Simon Pegg, it just doesn't work for me. And that makes it instantly unrewatchable for me. I'm like,
And I completely disagree. I think it's a fantastic casting. I think it's fantastic. They act a different part in every single one. That's what actors do. They don't.
No, I appreciate that, but that doesn't make it good. Just because he's an actor doesn't make it good.
You two are disappointed that it's not the same characters that you had in Shaun of the Dead in every single movie.
Nick Frost is fucking great in World's End.
Yeah.
You can't take Nick Frost's performance away in World's End. Simon Pegg is fucking terrible in World's End. That's the fucking truth. No getting away from it. It's like fucking casting. So Ian McKellen is fucking Rocky. That's how fucking bad it is.
That reminds me, we need to do another Castaway.
That works for me. He acts.
You know what's really sad?
He changes his character. He acts a different character.
The best film in this trilogy after Shaun of the Dead is Paul.
No, it isn't.
It is. Paul is far better.
Not the same script.
Paul is far better than World's End and fucking Hot Fuzz. Paul is a far better movie than the other two.
And Paul isn't a better movie than the other two. He might be more financially successful, I should think.
No, just better.
Because it appeals to American audience straight away.
That's great. Edgar Wright, I've always found Edgar Wright overrated after watching fucking Hot Fuzz. And I was wrong.
Oh my good God. When did you change your career and become a proctologist? Are you crossing proctologist with ventriloquist because you're talking out your arse?
Where's your fucking sheep coat, Martin? So you can keep going, bah,
sheep coat, my
all
arse.
the other fucking Edgar Wright fucking bum lovers.
You be the sheep, goddammit. Every time. You wanted like try. Look, I'm the rebellious child. Ooh, don't tell me what to like. I'm the rebellious child. I like what I like. My arse. You're the most conformist son of a bitch there's ever been in your life. You fit in a tiny little box within a tiny little box within a tiny little box. I love these three films. I love the performances they give in these three films every time. Simon Pegg surprised me. Who the hell would have thought that Simon Pegg, the little Fleming guy who was Steve Coogan's sidekick in his live stand-ups, could suddenly turn in the performances that he has done in each. And then, especially in Hot Fuzz, to suddenly become the action guy. Who the hell saw that coming from him? I didn't. I was fantastic. He was the guy from Big Train. He was the guy who was with Coogan. Yeah, he was the guy with the big eyes. I thought my character would have big eyes. Okay, yeah. He was wise, man. Fantastic. I loved it. And then, last character was a big turnaround for him. Suddenly he's gone from being almost the straight guy to being the wild guy at the end. And for me, it's an acting performance every time. I watched it originally and it was very much at the bottom of the trilogy for me. And then I watched it recently, and I've gone back and I've watched it about 2 or 3 times on the rewatches. And I found it really enjoyable, really, really enjoyable. Thought the film as a whole was just fantastic. The music, as I say, every time it just hit me just right on point. I love the casting. I love the fact that his cast grew to that final one where they actually did have a larger cast, but they said Martin Freeman. They give him like the one scene in the first one. He's one of like the
alternative cast. Yeah.
In the second one, he's the police officer. In the third one, they actually give him a proper character with Oman. You know, I just loved it. I thought everyone in there, Paddy Considine just keep turning up. It's fantastic as one of the Andys. Rafe Spall, from the fat kid in Shaun of the Dead to one of the Andys to just being one of the guy who wants to buy the house in the third one in World's End. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I like Kevin Smith films as well, and he likes a repeat cast, and I like that sort of thing. It just appeals to me. It hits a spot with me that just fills a need of certain things that I like, certain things that I like to see in a film. It really hit on for me.
Yeah, I get that, and as I've said, each to their own with this. My issues are there. Love the first one. Second one misses a lot of beats, and I hate the ending. And there was no surprises. And the third one, Mark, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think you're spot on. I'm not going to argue with that one in terms of Simon Pegg's character, not him. Just that character just didn't work for me, and it actually makes it not particularly rewatchable. I will rewatch it again, and I will perhaps update this. But for me, yeah, it was like
you couldn't be bothered to do it before. Don't bother now. You've missed out, mate.
I've seen it. I've got it. I own it on Blu-ray, and it's like.
You still haven't watched it, apart from when you. I bet you haven't watched it since you bought it.
Twice.
Isn't that an indication of how fucking bad we think it is?
That's how bad you think it is. You go back and watch it now, and suddenly it's holy shit. I was surprised. I hadn't watched it for ages.
Martin, if I get sucked off by a bloke once and I don't like it, I keep going back and getting sucked off again, I will eventually enjoy that being sucked off by a bloke. That's just the way things work.
What do you mean, eventually? You enjoy that now?
Only when you do a reach around.
And whisper sweet nothings in his ear.
That's it. God damn it. And where's the body bag?
Whereas Shaun of the Dead is really rewatchable for me. You can just pick it up and off you go. It's great.
I don't know how I would feel if they'd have been released in a different order. Maybe that's one of the problems as well. And the other problem is it's not a continuing story, so you just go, and I don't know. I feel the third one is also a bit lazy.
Mm. Yeah, I get it.
No, I just don't feel like that at all. I think actually the filmmaking got better as they went along. I think the first one was almost a film made by numbers, but it had a really interesting idea. Then they kept throwing in a comedy with an interesting idea. But I thought their filmmaking got better and a bit more clever as they went along doing it. There's more that goes into the movies as they go along. Shaun's always going to be special to me because it was the first one and it just kind of hit and it hit really hard. But then Hot Fuzz is probably like I think it's the most successful of all of them. It just hits. You'll tend to find most of your American crowd will enjoy probably Hot Fuzz the most.
Yeah. Well, it feels.
For me, World's End was the surprise.
Hot Fuzz feels a little bit more mainstream, doesn't it? Because it's going to be, isn't it? First of all, it hasn't got zombies. Happy Days, and then you throw that element of.
It's a parrot.
You throw the
action movie with
the Wicker Man in it.
They're all genuinely really good.
Yeah, so you've got a little bit of, suspense, psychological thriller, action comedy. You've got all that.
Well, that final shootout in the town, Jesus Christ, that's fantastic.
But I knew it was coming.
In any action movie, and that's a corker.
But I knew it was coming, and I was like, and I hate the end.
Well, it is like the final third the final frame, the action shot at the end.
Yeah.
If you're going by an action movie, that's what happens in an action movie. Then you'll have your big shootout.
And maybe it was that. And
Did
maybe
you see
it was
the fact that it was like the multiple people then doing the killing in the robes and stuff?
I don't know. I think it might have been it was a bit of an action film by numbers, and that wasn't what I was there for. But I get why Hot Fuzz would have been the more successful one, because anybody can watch Hot Fuzz. Whereas if you sit somebody down and go, here's Shaun of the Dead, they're going to go, zombies, no thanks. And if you sit them in front of the World's End, they're going to go, ugh, and aliens, nah. Whereas Hot Fuzz, everybody will watch that.
They built something on a pub crawl. They take an alcoholic character who wants to get his mates back together. Seems like it's going to be that sort of buddy film, going off on a pub crawl. The one's a bit of a like flaming waste of what the hell's going to happen now. And then suddenly it's a body snatcher, Stepford wife sort of situation going on during it. And it worked for me. Mm. It really worked for me.
But what they could have done is done that in a 30 minutes TV special rather than drag it out over an hour and a half.
I don't think you could. I think you'd have been really disappointed. I think you'd have had to really sort of screw that down. I mean, they spent, what was it, probably about 45 minutes sort of setting up the sort of the alcoholic character, the sort of dysfunctional relationship with all the friends, probably about 15 minutes setting up the whole childhood together, and then giving it like what the modern story is, trying to get the gang back together sort of thing, and then turning up at the old town, and then the twist.
It was like a weak episode of Red Dwarf stretched out, and it could have been. It could have. It could have been trimmed up into a half an hour.
Weak episodes of Red Dwarf.
It could have been trimmed up into a weak episode. It could have been trimmed up into a much better 30-minute TV special of something. I genuinely think that.
Oh, and I hated to agree to disagree there.
And I hated Simon Pegg's character in it. So yeah, loved it. Nick Frost's character, hated Simon Pegg's character in it.
Yeah, we come from a completely different place on this. You two have got one view of it. I've got a completely different view. Completely different.
What did you think? Can you get my point with that World's End, Mark? With that,
I just like I said before, I just felt it was. I just felt let down by it. I thought it was lazy. I thought that it was an obvious choice with an alien invasion. It just, I don't know. The good thing about Hot Fuzz, and which why I find it better than World's End, with Hot Fuzz, Davies 8 was predictable. I suppose it's predictable when you start watching it, but it wasn't predictable from a point of view of they'd just done Shaun of the Dead about zombies, and now we're going to make a cop 1970s horror crossover.
Yeah,
that was a surprise. So it wasn't predictable. But then by the time they got to the third one, it was. I'd have preferred, I don't know, not Alien Invade. I'd have preferred Beaver Grannies from fucking Venus. I don't know. I just sat there and I just think, I'm not like wowed like I was previously. It's just not there. It was predictable. It was lazy. It was.
Did you do the rewatch of it recently, or is this going on?
I watched it just before Christmas last year. Well, it's been a year ago, but I felt the same.
No.
It's like I can walk away from it, and there's no desire to revisit it. But I piss myself laughing. That's like I said to you before. I pissed myself laughing at the Seth Rogen "This Is the End" one, and the thematic was the same, but I still found it far fucking funnier. I didn't find this funny in the same way.
There was bits of it that were good.
I enjoyed "This Is the End" as well. I really enjoyed "This Is the End," but I preferred "World's End." It's to each their own on that.
So look,
I can't get my head round where you two coming from on there.
In terms of ranking it, so look, it's probably your love for these, Martin. You better start this one off this week.
I struggle. This is what I've been struggling with, is ranking them where I would actually put them, because on the go back and rewatch. As I say, I've gone back. Unlike other times where I've just sort of watched it, and then I've sort of watched them all in order and thought, yeah, I know which one's the best straight away. I've watched them all in order, and then I've gone back and I've watched one again, and then I've gone back and I've watched another one again, and I've watched another one. And so I've watched each of them probably about like 3 times over the past week now. And I'm really struggling to figure where I place them because I really enjoyed each of them. It started out, before I did the rewatches, I'd have always had Shaun #1, Hot Fuzz #2, and World's End #3. But then over this rewatch, it's gone from being Hot Fuzz as #1 and then World's End as #1. I've swapped them around all over the place. It's a trilogy that's been made for me. As I say, it's possibly one of my favourite, if not my favourite trilogy of all time. I've really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the filmmaking. I really enjoyed the characters, the acting, everything. It hit the right notes for me. It really has. I just kind of struggle with what I put where because they're all fantastic for me.
It's 1, 2, 3 for me. 1 is far outshining the other 2. 2 and 3 are just purely on the release, but it's hard for me to rank them as a trilogy because it's not a thematic continuing story going from one through to the other. They are 3 separate movies and 3 separate entities, and so just release order will do for me. I've got no feeling either way.
Yeah, I'm the same. It's 1, 2, 3 for me. Love the first one. Second one had moments, but didn't hit all the didn't stick its landing. Hated the ending. I'm gonna say it again. I friggin' hate the ending. It was so obvious. And the third one was, and I am going to rewatch it. I am gonna rewatch it.
I'm not saying they're bad movies.
No, mate. I'm not saying they're crap at all. We're not talking Revenge of the Sith. Just for consistency, they're all better than Revenge of the Sith. Just want to get that out there.
As I say, for me, it's possibly my favourite trilogy of all time now. It wasn't before. It was something I really enjoyed, but I hadn't watched for a while. And then on the rewatch, it's just hit the right buttons for me all over the place. I've loved it. It's reminded me how much I do enjoy Edgar Wright's filmmaking. It probably didn't hurt that I've been watching The Truth Seekers as well beforehand. Yeah. And I do really enjoy Nick Frost I enjoy Nick Frost on a TV screen, a film screen, whatever.
And
Nick
you know
Frost
what?
Amazes me every time.
And you know what, Martin? And it's a really, really valid point, this, right? Because I was so about World's End, that's why I've not watched Truth Seekers. I've not gone racing to go, quick, put it on.
I'll tell you what, you're missing then, because Truth Seekers is a British version of the sort of, it's their cheap British version of the X-Files, but it fills a really nice, if you're not satisfied by the current iteration of Who, this kind of may fill a spot for you in there. It's got that feeling of old British sci-fi, but the quality is much better than old British sci-fi. The CGI is better where they use it. I really enjoyed The Truth Seekers, and once again, it hits a spot for me. This is why I suddenly, when we were like, oh, what do we do? I thought, well, about the Cornetto trilogy. Hit a spot for me. Really enjoyed. I've really enjoyed The Truth Seekers. I hope there's a second season on the way. I should think there is. It's set up for a second season. I think it'll be great.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I haven't.
Messages all the bloody time.
I haven't rushed to it. So yeah.
I feel exactly the same as you, Dave. I haven't rushed to watch anything since World's End.
And once again, I've watched Truth Seekers through twice.
So I think we have, by default, we've got a bit of a ranking. So it's 1, 2, 3. But you know what, Martin? As it is your favourite trilogy, and I'm not precious, if you want to go 1, 3, 2, I wouldn't lose a lot of sleep over it. That's how ambivalent I am to it.
I can't split this damn thing. I really can't split it. They're all 1, 1, 1 for me. Or, it could be... I could go with any order in them because I just really, really, really enjoy them all. There's something that I love about each of them, and the stuff that I really enjoyed about each other. watching the third one, the stuff that really surprised me is, unlike about the second and third watch, was suddenly realising that when they're in the town, all the cars in the background are exactly the same. They're all a flaming a combo like electric petrol, like Prius type car. There's different colours of them, but they're all exactly the same car. I didn't realise that till about the third watch through. It's just like, holy crap, everything's... That's where they're giving you clues that everything's homogenised in the background. Everything's a bit different. It's all the same but different sort of in there. There's things that I just like. There's bits of cleverness that just appeal to me.
Well, that's it. It's a short discussion. We've done the Cornetto trilogy. Maybe you disagree with us. I'm sure lots of people will.
Timothy Dalton in Hot Fuzz is fantastic.
Yeah, I get it.
Gilbert, fantastic. Bill Bailey, fantastic.
Cameo.
Fantastic. Olivia Colman doing a bawdy carry-on role is hilarious. Every time she's I've been in this late, I've had my top off in this late, and then the old chapter, tats.
Right.
Just hilarious.
We've done it, so we'll jump back on. But thank you, Woody. Thank you, Monk. And we will see you next time.